To next to my alma mater, Morehouse School of Medicine, Miss Hill.
Hello, good evening, everyone. Thank you, Dr. Jones, so much for the opportunity to be here. This is my first time participating, so I greatly appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, so I'm going to start off telling you a little bit about me. I'm Lizandra Hill. I'm the Assistant Director here in admissions here in Atlanta by way of Louisiana, born and raised. I've been here a little over 3.5 years now. It doesn't seem like it's been that long, but it's been a great year. Tell you a little bit about my experiences coming to kind of give you an overview of the field of Morehouse School of Medicine. Upon my arrival, I can say that the school has the family environment there is amazing. And I think being here, moving here away from family, I received that warm family and support since I've been here. So once you walk onto that campus, just know you're part of a great family. I want to start out talking about our mission. Our mission here at MSM is to improve the health and well-being of individuals and communities by addressing primary care and healthcare needs, as well as our emphasis on people of color and the underserved population. This past year, we received over 7,400 applications, just a rough number. And as of today, before logging on, I was still screening applications in AMCAS, and we've already received 3,700 applications this year. With our application with AMCAS closes December 1st, and we actually interviewed through March. We interviewed.
1 second, Miss Hill. Can someone, can everyone please mute your screens? We have some background noise. Everyone, please make sure you mute your screens. You can go ahead.
Okay. Our incoming, our MD1 students this year, we actually accepted 105 students this year. Our class size is usually 100, but we accepted 5 more, gave 5 more students an opportunity to participate, come to medical school. I'm going to go over some of our requirements. Of course, you have to have undergraduate coursework, your bachelor's degree, and there are prerequisites also required. They must be completed prior to matriculation. As several schools mentioned about post-bac work, and with post-bac work, we kind of look at if you hadn't done so well in your undergraduate when you take post-bac and there's science courses, we also look at to see how rigorous those courses were that you had taken for post-bac. And we don't average those scores in, we do actually look at and break down to see how well you did in those courses. Your MCAT score, and we review your application for your MCAT score, and we look at we call it the BBFLS, that's your Biochemical Foundations of Living Systems, and CARS, which is a critical analysis and reasoning skills. So after screening and reviewing your application, we strongly look at those 2 parts of your MCAT score. And of course, 3 letters of recommendation, and we prefer, it's not required, but we prefer that you have at least 2 letters are submitted by science professors. And those are strongly preferred, but not recommended. Your secondary application and interview is by invitation only. And once you're accepted to MSM and we change your status to accept with AMCAS, we will automatically receive a background check for you. This year, due to COVID-19, we're accepting pass-fail grades. They will not average in, but they will be strongly looked at as part of your science GPA. And a couple of nuggets I would like to also add is to utilize all the AAMC resources. They're there and they're free. And that's the most important thing. And I think you should use those to every extent that's possible. Decide if medical school is right for you. Know your options. Talk to experts. Reach out to your advisors or anyone that's available to help you throughout your application process. Attend recruitment fairs like you are now. Talk to admissions counselors. We do offer advising, and right now we're not able to have any on-campus visits, so we're scheduling Zoom advising. We're also currently working on a virtual campus tour that we're going to actually use during interviews this year, since you're not able to come actually on the campus to view the school. decide where you want to apply, and know the deadline. So especially the AAMC application protocols, and we have that actually available on our website as well. And you asked the question, Dr. Jones, about the residency of international students. We do not accept applicants to the MD program who are not U.S. residents or do not have a permanent residency, and that being the green card. Students on F1 visas also are not considered U.S. citizens and will not meet the residency requirements for the MD program. Transfer students, they are accepted during the second year program. That's if a seat is available, and it's very rare that we have seats available in the second year program. And that's kind of it. Thank you. Can't hear you, Dr. Jones.
Sorry. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
Next, we're going to have University of Chicago Pritzker, Dr. Kimmy Carter.
Good evening, everyone. I am going to try to share my screen here. It is lovely to be here with you. And again, I echo Dr. Rankin. I think it's just amazing to hear from our colleagues across the country, but I'm not going to waste too much time of my 5 minutes to talk about how great they are. So I am representing the Pritzker School of Medicine at the University of Chicago. I'm the Associate Dean for Admissions. I'm an emergency medicine physician, and I also am the Clerkship Director for Emergency Medicine. So I wear a few different hats at Pritzker. I am going to put our mission statement up here because it is critical to what we do, and we refer to our mission statement constantly when we are putting together our classes. At the University of Chicago, in an atmosphere of interdisciplinary scholarship and discovery, the Pritzker School of Medicine is dedicated to inspiring diverse students of exceptional promise to become leaders and innovators in science and medicine for the betterment of humanity. So I don't know how many of you out there are familiar with Chicago. I was not before I came here to train. And I have never left, and I never want to leave. It is an amazing city. We are located in Hyde Park. Hyde Park, Kenwood is what you'll hear us say sometimes. The Obamas have made it famous. They are a few blocks north of our campus. And most, if not all of the students generally live on Hyde Park. And I will say, of the larger cities in the country, Hyde Park specifically, the neighborhood with our neighborhood within Chicago is definitely affordable. And being from the South originally, it was one of the things that I actually thought about when I was trying to determine where I would train. So I am going to talk a little bit about the part of our mission that includes diverse students of exceptional promise. Diversity in our institution is everyone's commitment. It is not just the URM commitment. It is not just Black faculty commitment. It is a commitment of the majority students, of the minority students, across disciplines and across training levels. And so I do want to mention that we have 3 pipeline programs at the University of Chicago. One is really dedicated to getting our students robust research experience. And the other 2 are sort of mini medical schools that prepare you to take the MCAT. They provide you with clinical experiences, and they provide you with mentoring from a senior faculty member. So our entering class is from all over the country. This is the entering class that just started a few weeks ago. 26 states, 42 colleges and universities. The vast majority of our students have taken a gap year prior to coming in. And that really, I mean, it's fairly consistent with the national data and probably most other schools. In this class, 28% are underrepresented in medicine, and that is our MCAT range in this class, 506 to 527. The GPA range is 3.24 to 4.0 in this entering class. So I just want to highlight a few unique things about the Pritzker School of Medicine. We do have a small class size. We have 90 students. So that's 80 MD students plus 10 MSTP students that come in every year. We have a pass-fail grading system. So you will not receive grades other than pass-fail in your preclinical years. We set competencies. We consider that to be mastery. We don't want our students thinking about grades. We certainly don't want them competing against one another. And the pass-fail system within our curriculum works well for that. Clinically, I think it is an amazing training environment. You start your clinical work from your very first year in the fall quarter. We have 5 free clinics that our students run completely. They manage the board, they fund, they manage the funding, and they manage the staffing. And those clinics are located all over Chicago. And our hospital is located right here on our university campus, and our affiliate hospital, North Shore University Health System, is north of here, just up the lake, and our students have the opportunity to choose where they do their work. Scholarly work and innovation is very important to the experiences of our students. So we are recruiting students who are intellectually curious and they want to explore their passions within research. And trust me, I understand that to this point, it's like super difficult to get into a lab and you're just saying to someone, I will pipette anything, just let me into your lab. But I want you to understand that we value research, all types of research. When you come to Pritzker, you will have protected and funded time longitudinally to do your research. So there are periods of time throughout the curriculum where you will be doing nothing but your research, and you will be funded to do that. And we always fund our students to go present. We want you on that stage. We want you with your PI and your advisors exploring your passions. I'll also mention that 100% of our students will have a scholarly product by the time they apply to the match. So all of our students have not only one-on-one advising and that focused funded time, but they will all have a scholarly product when they're applying to the match. Our community is like a family, and we are small, and so we treat each other like a family, and so we pay very much attention to the wellness of our students. Our students have access to mentors across all disciplines. And I will say, if you're the type of student who doesn't want anybody to know your name, this is not the place for you. We know what's happening with our students. We know where they are. We know what their interests are. We know where their passions lie. And so we really do foster that environment of wellness and advising and all-encompassing care for our students when they come. And that's all I have. I don't know if I went over time.
All right. Well, thank you, Dr. Carter. And again, we want to thank all of our presenters here. We still have quite a number of our panelists, and we want to answer some of your questions. So again, Jada, if you can allow these people to be seen. First, we're going to go with Felicia Venegas. Felicia, are you still with us?
Yes, I'm here. My apologies for not having my camera set up at the moment. I'm just trying to get a gauge of the family friendliness of the schools. So could each school please tell us if you have any programs in place to support students who have young children?
Good question. Who wants to handle that one first? We have a little bit of time to play with now, so who wants to handle that?
I'll take it. Dr. Jones, this is the University of Pittsburgh.
Okay.
We have a fairly vibrant, non-traditional student program. That means that families, children, trailing significant persons are all attended to in relationship to the journey. We bring them together for programming and make sure that they have connections, and they often solve each other's challenges as they make the transition from whatever it is that they're coming from. So we are intentional about working with students who are in the non-traditional group, students who, again, have families and others to be concerned about as they take the journey.
Okay. Anybody else want to address that?
Hi, this is Charlotte from MUSC. I know at MUSC, and I know many schools have student interest groups for their current students, but we also have spousal and partner support system groups where they meet up. Again, we're in the times of COVID, so meeting up might be virtual now, but they have we're Southern, so we have supper club. Where folks get together. I know some of the groups that we have for married and those with partners, they get together and there's childcare provided too. Again, this was pre-COVID life. I believe nearly 30% of our student body is considered non-traditional. We're probably closer to 40% nowadays. So a lot of schools do a fantastic job of making sure not only the student is supported, but the spouse or partner as well. And a lot of times we address that early in our Second Look program that's hosted in April. We invite your parents, your partner, your spouses, and we have sessions for them as well too. I know schools definitely look at that and take that in consideration as another means of support.
Okay. We have a lot of good questions coming in. Let's see, from Marlena Freeman. Marlena, are you still on? Marlena, are you still there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay.
My question was,
If you have your camera, we'd love to see your face and tell us where you're from.
I'm from Detroit,
Okay.
but I live in Atlanta.
Wayne State was one of the schools that wanted to be on here, but we didn't have enough space. So one of these days.
That would have been nice. Yeah, I appreciate you guys for sharing today. I just had a question for non-traditional students like myself, that's been out of undergrad for 10 years or so, and with work experience and advanced degrees. How do you guys evaluate the application? I know there's a lot of emphasis on undergraduate GPAs, but do you guys take into account of any of our work experience, life experience, etc.?
And
Yes.
can you tell us a little bit, 10 years you said, but what have you been doing during those 10 years?
I got a master's, worked in a government lab as a microbiologist, worked at another government agency as a criminal investigator, currently going to be starting a job at the VA soon, and clinical lab experience, or clinical lab job, just to get me more prepared for med school and that sort of thing. So.
Dr. Rankin, can you tell us a little bit about your approach to the non-traditional student? Lots of non-traditional students.
Sure. I think the non-traditional student is just as valuable as the traditional student. I think the non-traditional student brings additional perspective and life experiences that have definitely molded their decision to come to medical school, and that's exactly what we want to hear about. At our institution, we're less concerned with the fact that maybe you completed undergrad 10 years ago, but I think we're more concerned if you're able to demonstrate success on the MCAT, that validates your ability to be able to handle the medical curriculum. And so we find that to be important. It is also important to write about your story in your personal statement and all your experiences, which have molded the reasons why you've made this pivot to medicine. So just for brevity and to allow others to share, that would be my response to that.
Okay. Others that want to comment on that?
I agree with Dr. Rankin. I think there are a lot of benefits the non-traditional student brings. I think that they have different perspectives. They tend to be very good at the interview and very focused when they come to medical school. And it's great to hear their shared experiences. I also think that it is important, if you've been 10 or more years out, that you're able to show that you can transfer from that work setting back to a study setting. And so whether that's an MCAT or whether it's having a master's or something else, it can help in your application, just to show that evidence, because it's such a different skill set and there's so many different things there. But certainly your letters are going to be for more recent people. And it is telling your story and the strengths that all those experiences have given you in doing that.
Okay. So we're going to keep going. It's 8:56. We were supposed to be off a few minutes ago, but there's some good questions. If you all could please be a little patient, try and get through about 6 more questions. So please keep your questions brief and your answers brief. Natasha Sishula, I think this is a good question.
Hi, I'm so excited. It's Natasha Sichula.
Uh-huh.
Okay, sorry about the bad lighting. I hope you can see me.
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Very briefly, very brief.
Yes, thank you so much, everybody, for being here, especially the admissions committee. My question was for Dr. Kemi Carter from Chicago. Is she here?
Yes, she is.
Okay, I am a big fan of you and I really love the University of Chicago. That's my dream school. Okay, so I was wondering how the Chicago Medical School has accommodated their students during the pandemic, and does taking the MCAT twice affect your application process?
So I would say I'll answer the last one very quickly. It does not influence we assume that you wanted to take it again to show improvement, and we will be evaluating that MCAT like we would in any scenario, one piece to the puzzle. To the holistic puzzle. And then the first part of your question was, how did we care for our students during the pandemic? And I think that I'm sure every school here cared for their students throughout the pandemic period. I think some of the things that we did is we had weekly class and school meetings with our students. We had wellness activities that the students did remotely. We kept them informed about, Chicago was one of the cities that was hit kind of hard, not as hard as other areas, but we were very transparent about what was happening in the hospital. We had forums that even allowed physicians to share their fears too, so that we can normalize those feelings, and the students felt, more comfortable coming back to the wards after that process. So I would say that we just stayed connected as a community, and we did that in so many different ways.
Okay, thank you so much. I've sent you a LinkedIn invite.
Okay.
Okay. Michaela Williams, can you come up quickly, ask your question quickly? Are you still there, Michaela?
Yes, sir. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you all for presenting today. I really appreciate it. My question was, for students completing a DIY post-bac program at a community college, how do you all look at those students as far as being a competitive applicant, or would it be better for them to go into a master's program? That was my question.
So a post-bac program at a community college?
Yes, sir. So
good.
Maybe for financial reasons, or a DIY post-bac at a community college versus going to an undergrad university.
Okay. Dr. Rose, you still on? You want to comment on that?
Yes, I'm still here, Frank. For us, we would kind of look at the strength of the college as well as the strength of the science courses that the student took. We definitely accept community college credits, so it will be, again, a little unusual, as the mechanism for a post-bac, but we will certainly take a strong look at those courses. We also tend to look, Frank, at the trends, which is meaning that, the student shows an uptick from undergrad to those post-bac courses. So that would be important for us.
Okay. I would assume that's probably the same for everyone. We can go on to our next question. Vanessa Duodu. We're going to do about 3 more and we'll be done. Vanessa Duodu. We don't have any guys asking questions. We need some guys too. Vanessa, are you still there?
Can I ask a question in her place if she doesn't?
Sure. All right. We have a guy. Go ahead, Abram.
Yes. So I'm currently doing so I have a math degree, for undergrad in a law degree. But my performance with undergrad was severely poor. And so now I'm trying to bounce back by doing a post-bac in civil engineering. Being that it's not a hard science, would that suffice as a post-bac?
Great question. That's like a 30-minute answer question. So you have I'm sorry, what was your first degree? And then you say you had a law degree?
Yes, sir. I have a math degree and a law degree. I'm not doing civil engineering before medical school.
Okay. Woo, Ms. Johnson, what would you do if this came across your desk?
What I would say is we want to see how well you handle the coursework, and that would mean your science work. So I would suggest a post-bac taking those core science courses, because not only does that demonstrate you can do the work, that's going to help you with the MCAT as well.
Anybody else want to answer that one? All right, Maya Stevens.
Great. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for putting on this presentation, and thank you to everyone who has participated. So I am a non-traditional student who works full-time, but am now in the process of applying, and I have found 2020 to be challenging for me as an applicant because it has highlighted a lot of the injustices. And and I'm also like in global public health, so I'm seeing a lot of the disparities played out through the MCAT questions as well as through life. So I guess I have a two-part question, and you can choose to answer either one, whoever does choose to answer. But one, any advice for any applicants, especially underrepresented minorities applying right now? And also, what are some of the initiatives that you guys at schools have done? I think that's something that's very important as I look at schools, to see like how they showcase some type of initiative on the website and things like that. So 2 questions, advice, and just like maybe something that is being done at your school specifically.
Excellent question. Excellent question. Who wants to
I'll jump
handle
in.
that one? Okay.
I think it is important. A lot of schools have put on their secondary applications, please explain to us, you know, the impact of COVID. I would encourage you to really be eloquent in your description and be thoughtful. I think schools would love to see how creative students have been, how resourceful you've been, even in light of, you know, COVID happening. So that's what I would say to that. And in terms of initiatives, I think all schools are taking an active and intentional look at their curriculum, at the support for various students, because even if we were doing things pretty good before, everyone has opportunities for improvement. And so I think that's what you want to see, that schools are being honest and they're making efforts to support their students.
Ijeoma, you want to make a quick comment on that?
I would love to, thank you. So like I was saying, Rutgers Robert Wood Johnson, we take student feedback very seriously. You know, earlier in June, we did have a student panel where we were able to communicate with faculty, not just, you know, how we were feeling about COVID, but a lot of the racial injustice that was going on. We made a document, a Google document, and shared it with them about a lot of the things we were thinking and feeling and ideas that we had to change things. And they took that feedback very seriously. You know, they had meetings with some of the clerkship directors, and they're still in contact with a lot of us first years, second years, third years, and fourth years. So a lot of things are in the works right now as I am talking to you, but that's all because the students felt some way and we said some way, and we said we want things to change in a certain way, and we are working towards it as well. So we're very proactive. It might not be on the website just yet, but give it a couple of weeks, give it a couple of months, and that's what we're working towards.
All right. And we're going to have one more question, and I just saw it. Oh, please, I hope I didn't lose it. Yes, by Osegbovo James.
I'm here live in the flesh.
All right.
So my question, being an African-American male, and knowing that there's a dearth of African American males matriculating since 1964, what are respective institutions doing to increase that representation in their program?
And we'd like to hear from several of you on this one, because we know there's a significant shortage of African American males in medical school. So I'm glad you asked that question, and that's the one we're going to end it with. But we want to hear from several of you. And Ms. Hill.
I'll jump in.
All right.
That's a very great question. And I didn't get an opportunity to expound on that during my presentation, but Dr. Rice gave us an initiative last year to focus on our Black males. And I could say we did an outstanding job. This year was the first year we've had more Black males in our class than females. And several interview days, we actually had several days. I think we had all males, and there were like 23 males and then on an interview day. And that was like record-breaking history. We had people coming by the interview room just to see the number of applicants. I even took a picture with a group of them. It was unbelievable. We had all these males on interview day in one room. So what we did, we kind of, I won't say being lenient, but we kind of looked at the MCAT scores, and we had to kind of revamp the way we reviewed MCAT scores, the entire application as a whole. So we had more Black males, I think, this past year than they've had maybe history. So that's our initiative again this year.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Secretary Roberts.
Sure. We have several initiatives at Meharry. Annual Navigating the Pre-Health Path Summit that focuses on Black males that are in undergrad, but also that are in high school. We have some recruitment initiatives, that start as early as high school. I'm recruiting for some of our summer programs, and then through the admissions process, we actively recruit as well.
Okay. Ms. Copeland?
Yes, so we have started to expand our pathways to work with a wider range of undergraduate universities in New Jersey. And our hopes is to get a couple more 4+4 programs or other programs to be able to recruit into the medical school and target sort of a variety of schools. We do have agreements with Rutgers University, which is great because it has a very large underrepresented population that are interested in medicine. So that definitely helps us. And then we're working with our students to try to figure out how do we recruit more and how do we look at those out-of-state students to come to New Jersey and figure on that too.
Dr. Carter.
So we, as I mentioned before, we have those 3 pipeline programs, and one of the programs starts in high school. So it's a program for juniors and seniors in high school, and those pipeline programs go through the college years. And I think ultimately we are committed to going out and finding the talent, and that include before COVID, obviously, but we dedicate a lot of effort and funding and energy to going all across the country to make sure students understand our commitment to changing the workforce. And so I think that, with COVID, we have to be a little more strategic in different ways. And so we are trying to recruit in other ways. But I think that primarily through our pipeline programs and through our initiatives here in Chicago within the Chicago Public Schools to strengthen that pipeline to medical school has been extremely beneficial and productive.
Ms. Kerr?
Yes, thank you. So at MUSC, this has been a process that did not happen overnight. This is a conversation we have been having, and a mission and a point of pride for pursuing diversity and inclusion and supporting our our underrepresented students. We have the pipeline programs that Ms. Natalie Johnson shared earlier, but we believe in early intervention. That of course, as a medical institution, we're one of the oldest in the South, so we know that Field of Dreams, we can't take that perspective of Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come, right? We know that we got to get in those school systems early. We need to be accessible, so we are in our community, we are in throughout the state. Of course, recruitment is an easy way to do that, to make sure you know of us and what we're out here trying to do. But we take, when we think of admissions, that holistic review, we're not only looking at your academics. We like to say, if any of you ever heard of the term your distance traveled, right? A lot of times you guys hear what adversity you've overcome or what your background is, but that comes in so many shapes and sizes. So whether it's from the admissions perspective of making sure we adopt holistic practices, to our recruitment and community efforts starting early, so that students at an early age can see themselves as physicians, no matter what barriers in life throws at them, as well as in our curriculum. When the current COVID stopped us all in our tracks and allowed us, fortunately, to rethink our orientation. So our orientation for new students was completely geared towards anti-racism, and how that's a longitudinal program throughout all 4 years of their medical school, and bias and all those things that they need to be a part of actively. We need to actively be speaking on throughout their time at MUSC.
Okay, we're gonna run through real quick the rest of you. Dr. Pettigrew.
Just a couple of things. One is that
briefly, please.
Yeah, with our pipeline programs, Mrs. White makes sure that there is an intentional focus on male students getting an opportunity to experience those programs. When students come to the medical school, we try to, and we have created a community of men, which includes our faculty, our residents, and our fellows. We come together in what we call man-to-man conversations, where they can talk about their journeys, ask questions, and get some of the tips that they're going to need to persevere through the experience. That's our focus this year. In terms of our students underrepresented in medicine, Black men are the dominant number of individuals that are there.
Excellent. Dr. Rose.
Yes, we make a concerted effort to target African-American males as part of our diversity standard. We do actually will look at, on a percentage basis, more African-American males than that are actually represented in the entire pool. I think our struggle right now is that the students are on the higher end of the MCAT. African-American males get snapped up by some of the majority institutions. So we're sort of competing with their diversity efforts as well.
Okay. And Dr. Rankin.
I will say, in addition to the pipeline programs that have been mentioned for brevity, I think that is important. Our pipeline programs focus on not only preparation for medical school, study skills and things like that, but I think it's also important that our admissions committee has had training on implicit association and implicit bias trainings and ways to mitigate that, because the only way to get more Black men or Black women into medical school is to make sure that there's no bias associated with the person who's interviewing them, and that being Black does not mean that you're not excluded, but instead that there are intentional efforts to mitigate any biases. And in addition, making sure that once students are accepted, the infrastructure is there to support them with counselors, with tutors, with financial aid. Medical school is expensive. All of us could use a little more money. So I'll end with that.
Well, thank you so much. And I thought that was Oseg Bobo. I think that was an excellent question. And I wanted to devote a little time for every school to be able to mention that, because that is such a big concern. Again, I want to thank all of you on the panel for participating, for staying here late, for the students and everyone that are joining us. Thank you for staying here. We had a huge crowd throughout the entire event. We still have 301 people at 9:15 in the evening. So we definitely see that there's a need and people want the information. And that's it. And again, I want to thank all of you. For you panelists, if you all want to be involved in some of the other sessions that we have, please let me know. If you want to do an individual session, we will be having some more sessions with some of our other schools that asked to participate. If you'd like a little bit longer time, or if you'd like to do anything in terms of presenting to our students, please let us know. We'd be glad to have you. And with that, we're going to end our session, and we thank all of you for being here. Thank you.